you later.
Congratulations, Erica Slezak.
On March 17, Erica Slezak celebrated her 40th anniversary as Victoria Lord Davidson on One Life to Live.
Here's to you, Erica.
Well, I couldn't let you take the stand without a rooting section, could I?
Does that mean you're rooting for me in even more ways than one?
Talking about you making Diana beneficiary of your will, I won't pretend that I approve. I will keep quiet about it for now.
All right.
What do you think?
You go either way.
Be seated.
Having read the letter from Mrs. Buchanan to Mr. Dennison, it is my conclusion that it has no bearing on this hearing. I, therefore, must rule it inadmissible.
Oh, thank God. Thank God. That's one for Viki.
Yeah, but Clin't looks pretty relieved himself.
Your Honor, we respectfully withdraw the letter.
I'm not finished, Mr. Callison. Mr. Saunders, would you join us, please? Okay, folks. Now, this is an end to all the name-calling and innuendos. The issue here is Viki and Clint Buchanan's ability as parents. That's all I'm interested in. Do I make myself clear?
Yes.
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Callison, do you have any more witnesses?
No, sir.
And Mrs. Saunders, you may call your first witness.
Thank you, Your Honor. I'd like to call Dorian Lord to the witness stand.
Dorian Lord.
Friends? Viki and I have been through so much together, I think it would be difficult to describe us as just friends.
But you have been close for many years.
Oh, yes. Close enough to be at each other's throats. If that's what you meant. We have fought about such diverse things as...
I don't know. I thought she was supposed to be a friendly witness.
This is another one of her tricks.
But despite this history of competition and disagreement between you, you are here freely to testify in her behalf.
Yes. Because, well, for one thing, we have, over the last couple of years, become closer to each other. I think we understand each other much better, and... well, be that as it may, never, ever, in all the time that I have known her, have I ever doubted her love and her commitment to her children.
Have you seen proof of this?
Yes, I have seen proof of it. I also have proof of it.
Would you please tell us what this is?
Yes, it is a videotape of my television show. Viki appeared on it to make a personal appeal to her baby Jessica's kidnappers.
Your Honor, I would like to enter this as evidence and play the tape so we can judge for ourselves my client's love for her children.
Mrs. Sanders, this is a grandstand play, and you know it.
Your Honor, this tape does contain a heartrending speech by my client, but this is a heartrending dilemma. Isn't it highly relevant to see Mrs. Buchanan not just as a disinterested, distracted mother that Mr. Callison would like us to believe she is, but in fact, a woman who is totally dedicated to the welfare of her children?
I'll see the tape. Bailiff.
This is nothing but a cheap trick.
Don't kid yourself. We had something like it, we'd use it ourselves.
Here's a transcript of the tape, Your Honor.
I have made any number of speeches in my life, and I've never really had any trouble with words. But unfortunately, right now, I can't think of a single clever thing to say. All I can think about is my baby. Her name is Jessica Ann, and she is the most beautiful and the gentlest creature that God ever put on this earth. And my husband and I, we love her very dearly. She's only been a member of our family for a very short while. But we miss her very much.
Thank you for sharing the tape with us, Mrs. Lord. It said more eloquently than any testimony what a splendid mother Viki Buchanan has been. Your Honor. Your witness.
Yeah. I'd like to thank you, too, Mrs. Lord. When was that tape made, by the way?
I thought I made that clear. It was made on the day that little Jessica was returned home by the kidnappers.
Oh.
It was a direct result, of course, of Viki's appeal.
Well, then it all happened prior to Viki Buchanan's loss of memory. Is that correct?
Well,
Is it correct?
yes, but I don't see what difference that makes. She loved her children then. She loves them now.
Well, I think it makes a great deal of difference. Would you say that Viki Buchanan was under a tremendous amount of stress at the time of the taping?
Of course. Her child had been kidnapped.
Yes, now, it's a well-known fact that, psychological fact, that certain people respond better to stress than others. However, a loss of 8 years' memory is a rare and disturbing phenomenon, isn't it?
Objection. The witness is hardly qualified to pass judgment on my client's mental and emotional health.
Now, Mrs. Lord has been a practicing physician of some repute in this town. Mrs. Sanders put her on the stand. I simply want to take advantage of her breadth of knowledge.
Overruled, Mrs. Sanders. You put her up there. Mr. Callison can get her medical opinion.
Thank you, Your Honor. And you, Mrs. Sanders, for making this witness available to us. Now, Mrs. Lord, isn't it true that during times of stress and anxiety, Viki Buchanan isn't always in control of her emotions or her mental state?
No, I wouldn't say always.
Well, but often.
I didn't say often either.
Well, let's be specific. Do you happen to recall the day that Viki Buchanan came to ask you to make available the tape that we've just seen?
Yes. She was very determined. She felt that it would help support her case, but she was very much in control of her feelings.
Would you describe, well, you just did, her emotional state. How would you describe her feelings towards you? In other words, she just come for a favor. Would you say that she was friendly towards you?
No, I would say that friendly was going a bit too far.
Then she was unfriendly.
She was cool. She was distant. She was a bit formal.
Formal? Oh, that's... I mean, here's a woman who desperately needs your help. She desperately needs a favor, and she treats you formally as if she has no idea how to deal with you.
I think it is very understandable, given the way things were in the past.
The way things were when? The way they were 8 years ago? You see, isn't it true that for Viki Buchanan, your relationship was frozen in time 8 years ago? Isn't it true that she came to you with no idea how your relationship had changed or matured or improved over the years?
Yes, I suppose that you could describe it that way.
Well, let's describe it that way. Let's say that the dislike and anger Viki Buchanan felt for you some 8 years ago was still alive, as if nothing had ever happened between either one of you, as if 8 years of her life had never existed.
All right, she did treat me the way she used to in the past, but what does that have to do with her children?
Will you tell me? Now, you've just demonstrated conclusively the total extent of Viki Buchanan's memory loss. Now, if she can't remember her feelings for her friends or her acquaintances, how in the name of justice can she provide a stable and loving home for her own 3 children?
You may step down, Mrs. Lord. Bailiff.
Don't let it get to you. We scored some points with Dorian. We lost some, too.
Well, that was nice work.
John, please don't kid me. Herb made an absolute fool of me.
Mr. Sanders, if you'll call your next witness, please.
Yes, Your Honor.
The next witness is nowhere in sight.
Oh. Your Honor, I'd like to call Pamela Buchanan to the witness stand.
Pamela Buchanan. Hand on the Bible. And state your full name.
Pamela Oliver Buchanan.
You do solemnly swear that the evidence you're about to give in this court shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, shall help you God?
I do.
Be seated.
Mrs. Buchanan, how long have you known Asa Buchanan, the grandfather of the 3 Buchanan children?
I have known Asa for about 1 year.
I thought you'd been married to him for 10 years.
Yes, that's right.
Sorry, but how could you have been married to him for 10 years and only have known him for 1 year?
Well, you see, I was married to him under his alias name, Captain Jeb Stewart. He was a merchant marine.
I'm a bit confused. Weren't you aware of the fact that the same man, under his real name, Asa Buchanan, was married to another woman in Landview, Pennsylvania?
Yes, that's right.
How many women was he married to in the last 10 years?
Well, I think it was, 3. No, maybe 4.
Was it 3 or 4?
I'm not sure.
Mrs. Buchanan, are you telling us that you were married to a bigamist?
Well, I think you call it a polygamist.
Your Honor, I don't believe Asa Buchanan's marital history is relevant to this hearing.
Your Honor, Asa Buchanan is not only the grandfather of Kevin, Joey, and Jessica. He may be providing the future home for them if Clint Buchanan is awarded custody. I think his character is very much an issue.
Continue, Mrs. Sanders, carefully.
Mrs. Buchanan, aside from his being a polygamist, would you trust this Mr. Buchanan with the raising and care of 3 small children?
Oh, he's a very generous man and very
I'm not
loving
interested
children
in the way he spends his money or his money. I'm interested in his respect for values and morality.
Oh. Well, Asa has a tendency to live by his own rules, especially today.
Excuse me, is it possible that Mr. Buchanan was the reason you were late today for court?
Yes.
And how did that happen?
Well, actually, he locked me in a room and tried to keep me from coming here.
Did he? And this is the same man that's going to provide a home and a proper atmosphere for Kevin, Joey, and Jessica? And he has shown total disregard for the basic law and standards of this community, Your Honor?
I love those babies, and nobody can say a damn thing against that.
Sir, you will sit down.
Now listen, Your Honor.
Sit down and shut up. As for you, Mrs. Sanders, and you, Mr. Callison, I've had all I can take of this communal mudslinging. I've sat here and listened while Landview's leading citizens have shown themselves to be a contemptible, corrupt, and calculating crew. We have completely lost sight of our purpose here, which is to decide the custody of 3 innocent children. And to that end, I am taking matters in my own hands. Mrs. Buchanan, would you rise, please? Mr. Buchanan, would you rise too, please? Along with your children, you're the only 2 people in this courtroom that really counts. Now, I want you to follow me to my chambers. And if it takes all night, we're going to settle this matter here and now.
All right.